Joe Rogan just boxed Jake Paul's ear off after releasing new fight rules. For months, Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is all the fight world has been talking about, and this blockbuster matchup is finally right around the corner. Now, the UFC commentator believes that Paul has been playing by his own rules for too long, and he's decided to shake things up to give the YouTuber turned boxer some challenge in his upcoming Clash of the Eras. Well, stepping into the ring with the baddest man alive was enough challenge for Paul, who's lashing out. But you know Rogan, he enjoys a good show and a fair fight. This guy threw hands at Paul, and he's not holding back the least. Let's break it down.
I think that Mike Tyson is the best heavyweight of all time. I don't think anybody fucks with him.
Joe Rogan decided to let go of his hands at Jake Paul after he recently announced new rules for his upcoming heavyweight clash with Mike Tyson. Yep, the UFC commentator shook things up to ensure that Paul doesn't get an unfair advantage in the ring and changed a few things about the weight conditions on the contract. I mean, someone had to take one for the team and make this fight fair and square, and Rogan stepped up. But Jake Paul, being Jake Paul, wasn't about to take this lying down. The internet exploded with his angry rants, accusing Rogan of meddling and trying to sabotage his career. Joe Rogan thinks he's a boxing expert now? This is bullshit, Jake tweeted in a now viral post. Can you believe the audacity? Like, dude, Joe Rogan is basically the voice of MMA and combat sports. To disrespect him like that? Fire. The social media storm was intense, with fans divided between supporting Rogan's stance for fair play and backing Paul's brash confidence. But it didn't stop there. The drama reached a whole new level at the press conference. Jake was in full-on clown mode, mocking Rogan and acting like a total goofball. You know, the usual Jake Paul antics. That's when Joe Rogan, clearly fed up, stepped up to the podium. With a look of pure determination, he walked directly towards Jake Paul. Before anyone could react, Rogan unleashed a powerful punch that sent shockwaves through the crowd. The arena erupted in disbelief as security rushed to separate the two. This unexpected turn of events has only fueled the hype surrounding the Jake Paul vs. Mike Tyson fight. The world is now on the edge of their seats, eager to see if the drama outside the ring will translate into an explosive showdown on November 15th at the AT&T Arena. Joe Rogan was never one to hop on the Jake Paul hype train. He has been against the YouTuber turned boxer ever since he came into the boxing scene, and has been labeling him as a fraud. It only got worse when Jake revealed he was stepping into the ring with none other than the boxing legend Mike Tyson. Love him or hate him, you can't deny that Jake hasn't been making waves in the boxing world. Ever since he made the big switch, his audacious call-outs and controversial wins were all anyone could talk about but a fight with Mike Tyson. That's where Jake proved that he's completely out of his mind.
Fight Mike.
No.
Yeah, he wants to fight Mike, I think.
Why?
I don't know.
I don't give a if he's 55. That's still Mike Tyson.
Mike.
You don't just wake up one day and decide you want to step into the ring with Mike Tyson, especially when you're Jake Paul and have only been boxing for a couple of years. This announcement sent the entire fight world into a frenzy, and if you're one of the few who didn't already hate Jake Paul, I'm sure this fight announcement changed that for you. Don't get me wrong, I get that the kid is a good boxer, but knocking out a couple of retired MMA stars and basketball players doesn't mean you challenge the baddest man on the planet. The problem child really bitten off more than he could chew with this one, and that's why Joe Rogan had been shouting from the rooftops that this matchup is nothing but a terrible mistake. Now, the problem child here has a history of unfair advantages in the ring. Of course, Jake claims they've always been coincidental, but fans have noticed a pattern of him always picking on the weaker man. Unless you've been out of the loop, I'm sure you tuned in for Paul's recent fight with the bare-knuckle brawler, Mike Perry. This bout wasn't anything special, just another one of Jake's orchestrated charades where he stepped into the ring and walked out with a KO win against an opponent who was outmatched. Yeah, we've seen quite a few of those. But this matchup really opened the boxing world's eyes. I mean, hear me out. No one's giving Jake a pat on the shoulder for picking a 6th-round KO win after dropping Perry thrice on the canvas, because it was obvious that the bare-knuckle fighter was the smaller man. Jake agreed to fight Perry at a catch weight of 200 pounds, but that was still too much for Mike, who hadn't fought at that weight before. The result? He was slower and sluggish on fight night, and he barely looked 190 pounds at tops. Jake, on the other hand? He was fighting on his natural weight and looked a healthy 220 pounds at least. Of course, he was going to win. Our guy Joe Rogan here is trying to make sure this doesn't happen when Jake steps into the ring with Mike Tyson. Get this, the hype for this Tyson versus Paul fight is through the roof. People are going absolutely crazy. It's like the whole world is talking about nothing else. Imagine the tension, the excitement, the pure adrenaline rush. This fight has the potential to be one of the biggest sporting events of all time. So let's hope Joe Rogan's new rules actually create a level playing field. Because if they do, we're in for a night of pure boxing magic that we'll be talking about for years to come. This matchup has already seen too many roadblocks, with Jake getting pre-fight jitters and pulling the plug on the whole fiasco. Mike ended up in the hospital for ulcers. This fight has been in jeopardy since day one, which has only made Joe's concerns about it even more valid. Joe Rogan is tight with Mike Tyson. I mean, you can pretty much say that he's the president of the Mike Tyson fan club, so when Mike got into the hospital because of the upcoming bout, he was pissed. As for Jake, he only made things worse for himself when he revealed that he didn't really care about Tyson's health. He's only in it for two things: the stardom and the big bucks. Come on, Jake, can you possibly make fans hate you anymore? He's just making it easier. The UFC commentator has exposed Paul for being a fraud and a master manipulator. Think about it. Paul's entire career in boxing is nothing more than him deceiving fans into thinking he's a real boxer just because he knocked out a bunch of dudes in the ring. He can fool anyone he wants, but Joe's not falling for his traps. Joe's known for his no-nonsense approach to all things boxing and MMA. He never holds back when it comes to sharing his 2 cents with the fight world, and this guy isn't afraid of anything. So when it came to exposing Jake Paul and his money-hungry tactics, Joe went into all the dirty deets. It was sure as hell a spicy conversation for him to have, and fueled the fire by taking his beef with Paul to a whole new level.
Like, if he was going to fight anybody else, people would watch, but would the same amount of people watch? No. This is the one. And this is the one where the old heads are all sitting around like going, well, fucking wait till he gets a hold of Mike Tyson. Boy, he's going to regret that.
It's no shocker that Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul is a big money fight. Here's the thing. Even if he's nothing more than a wannabe pro boxer, Jake's got an audience, and he sure as hell knows how to sell PPVs. This guy always goes to extremes to build up hype for his fight and doesn't shy away from stirring up controversy to stay in the spotlight. Fans love a little drama outside the ring, so everyone tags along for the ride. There's no denying that Jake Paul is a PPV superstar. Let's talk about his fight with Tommy Fury. It was easily the biggest and toughest fight of his career to date. The build-up to fight night everything and the drama between the Fury family and Paul kept all of us on our tippy toes. In terms of PPV, it was one of the biggest PPV boxing events of 2023. The fight grossed over $30 million, and even in the boxing world, that's a lot of money. Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson is set to be even bigger. Come on, it's only the best heavyweight of all time stepping into the ring for his epic comeback. Of course, the whole fight world is going to tune in. Jake really attracted all audiences with this one. The old dudes never pay to watch influencers like Jake fight. Who wants to watch a Disney kid in the ring? But with Mike Tyson's name on the poster, you can only bet how many more people were going to watch Jake fight in the ring. The problem child is really milking the sport for fame and cash with this one. Plus, let's not forget that this fight even caught Netflix's eye, and they agreed to stream the fight as the first live sport on their streaming platform. But is all the money in the world enough for Jake to step into the ring and let Mike Tyson absolutely destroy him in front of the entire fight world? Come on. Jake is out there risking his dignity for a couple of $1 million. Boxing isn't about money and fame. It was never about money and fame. But ever since Jake entered the sport, there's been a rise in influencer boxing. And influencer boxing is pretty much a joke compared to real boxing. Real boxing fans can't even imagine Mike Tyson and Jake Paul in a boxing ring. Jake hasn't done anything impressive enough to earn a shot against the best boxer in the whole world. Mike shouldn't fight him just because this fight is good money. Influencer boxing and exhibition fights are taking away from the true beauty of the sport. And that's why Joe Rogan is all fired up. Let's be real, influencer boxing is a joke compared to the real deal. These guys are stepping into the ring with little to no actual boxing experience, just for a quick payday. It's like comparing apples to oranges. Boxing is a sport built on skill, technique, and years of dedication. It's about pushing your limits and testing yourself against the best. But influencer boxing? It's more about who can create the most hype and land a lucky punch. Rogan knows this, and he's trying to protect the integrity of the sport. He wants to make sure that when people tune in to watch a boxing match, they're seeing a real fight, not some circus act. Jake Paul needs to learn that the boxing world isn't a playground. It's a battleground. And if you want to survive, you need to bring your A game. So, there you go, Fight World. That's all I have for you today. What are your thoughts on Jake Paul getting punched by Joe Rogan? Do you agree with the new fight rules? Fill in the comment section with your thoughts. Don't forget to hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more boxing news. See you in the next video.